It's the second day of fall in 2023, and I felt like I wanted to do a video about grass. Yes, I use grass, and I want to use it a lot more, and I'm going to explain how in a bit. But when it comes to grass, most gardeners, even farmers, unless you're farming hay, they're not into it. Mostly it's something to be eradicated. If you look right here, what you see is invasive Bermuda grass, which I have a video on how I'm eradicating it out of the yard. But behind that, you'll see these little lobed leaf vines, some watermelon. Actually, you can see a watermelon up in there, and some tree collards growing that I'm growing for cuttings, some tomato. So I've just got it all, prairie tea, just growing all up in here with the grass. And you can see I obviously haven't gone and tried to remove it. Why? Well, it's actually providing shade and cover, not only to the soil, but also to the watermelon and other vines and stuff that's growing in here. I've got some mustard and whatnot. But Bermuda being invasive, it's really not the ideal situation. So I'm going to take you over and show you what ultimately I'll be converting this area to. So I'm going to still have grass in my yard. I'm just, right now what you're seeing is I'm in the process of clearing that layer out. You can see I've had some success in getting rid of the Bermuda grass. I've been experimenting for quite a while with various ways of doing it. You see vast areas with, and it used to be, I have a video showing what this yard used to look like before. But now that I've got it eradicated, I can replace it with what you got coming next. I think I'll let Janice take us there. Okay, there it is. Little Bluestem. You can see as a second day of fall, and you got some dryness. It gets this like brownish reddish color on it. I can see it down up in there. Yeah. But when the leaves are nice and healthy, they're kind of a bluish color. There's different phenotypes, but and depending on where it grows, it can look different. But this is one way to identify it. So you can see how it's different than Bermuda grass in that it doesn't run along the ground. It's a bunch grass, and I'm going to speak to that in a second, why this is important. But this is also a native grass. I do believe quail can eat those seeds, and I do know they love it as nesting habitat. Here's another one, another sample. So what I've been doing, this is actually the one I started with. I've been taking seeds and spreading it around. So I've got another bunch right back there, a bunch here. There's some little bunches in here. You can see they're greener because they get more water and they get more sun. But I've got it in a few places. Some back here. Little bunches. Let me take you down to an area where it's a little bit more thick. Okay. This is a great example of how it can look different. This is a really sunny location. This is Little Bluestem. It's so green compared to that bluish color in the more shaded areas. So it's just growing in a patch right here, real thick. You can see I've just been putting seeds, and it's not the best way to spread it in. I may buy some bagged seed. I think there's a company that sells the right variety for this area. But I've got it in several places, and you can see how it grows. It's pretty dry here. So what's the point? Well, it grows as a bunch, which means it leaves a space. So here's a bunch. Right next to it, there's a bunch. And it just naturally grows that way. It leaves gaps. That's why people don't like it for turf. Like if you have a yard, people want it to look like a golf course. This is not what you want to plant. First, you have to let it get pretty tall. This is about 3 feet in height, and people don't want to do that. And then they want solid turf, so no weeds can start to grow in here. But that's the feature I'm actually looking for. Plus, when it comes to Bluestem, the roots are extremely deep. Okay, so I'm going to cut in real quick to show you some pictures, just to illustrate what I'm talking about with these roots and how deep they are. So the first picture you see here is an actual photograph of Bluestem that someone dug up, so you could see the full size of the root system. And it's not set up against anything, so you can't really see the scale. So the next picture here is going to show you a comparison between various types of native grasses, Little Bluestem being one of them, compared to your typical invasive Bermuda-type turf grasses. And you can see in that picture how deep the roots go in comparison to your typical turf grass. And the last picture I'll show you, it just gives you a lot more comparisons. Just every single one of these pictures in here, every one of these drawings are some kind of native grass. There's even purple coneflower, which obviously is not a grass. It just goes to show you the typical root systems you have on prairie plants. And of course, grasses are going to be some of the dominant species you have in any prairie. So the whole point of giving you this entire video is to let you know that grass is actually good for a cross timbers garden, mainly because of the effects that these roots have inside the soil systems. With, of course, the caveat being you need to use native grasses. When it comes to soil improvement in a permaculture type situation, I would say that it's going to be hard to find something that is as efficient and fits in the system as well as Little Bluestem. Why not Big Bluestem? Well, in a confined space, certain neighborhoods, things like that, HOAs, depending on your situation, that's why I wouldn't necessarily advise it. But Little Bluestem, there's usually a spot, at least in your yard, that you can get away with it. And if you can, I would say grow it inside your garden beds. Instead of pulling all the grass out, you can use it, just like I'm using that Bermuda over there, to help shade and provide green mulch. I know that's not necessarily what some people call green mulch, but the other benefit being that it's really useful to wildlife and greatly helps improve soil due to the depth of the roots. The number and types of roots, instead of being one long tap root, it's a bunch of little spindly roots that go down. So, consider growing this. I'm going to be doing that exactly. I'm going to be spreading this grass around once I get all these tree and vine and shrub layers in place and healthy, and I'm not doing so much destruction by putting stuff in. I'll probably cover everything with largely bluestem habitat and grow all my annuals and such in between. So, wish me luck. Another point to make about using something like bluestem or maybe buffalo grass, a native grass, instead of something like Bermuda in your garden, and actually using that native grass in the garden, besides all the other benefits with the roots and everything, is take a look at this. This is what Bermuda grass looks like when you don't irrigate it. Now I'm going to show you what the native grass looks like with zero irrigation on the side of a hill. There, that's no irrigation for Little Bluestem. Beautiful, isn't it? And that's all I have to say about grass. No, it isn't. I'm going to do another video, I know.
You guys are acting crazy right now. You're all acting insane. You're smoking brownies and you're eating weed?
It's called grass now.